Kirby Air Riders Direct was a little bit too long for our taste. So what are we gonna do? Talk about the Direct.
Welcome to the Zac and Tav podcast. This is episode number 5, and today we'll be talking about upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 games.
Yes, not only Kirby Air Riders, but also Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Resident Evil games, and many more. So, Tav, what did you think of that Direct?
It was very long.
Yeah, 1 hour.
It's always a pleasure to see Sakurai talk about his craft. They really want this to be a game that is recognized not just as a spin-off of Kirby, but as a standalone game that holds its own in Nintendo's library for the Switch 2. And it's, as we've said before, it's very interesting that this sort of racing game comes so soon after the first big flagship game on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is Mario Kart World, obviously, and which will sell a lot.
Yeah, we just got the Nintendo financials, and
that the install base for Mario Kart World is something like over 85%.
95, I think.
2.
Yeah,
It's
there's 10.5 million people that have a Switch 2, and 9.5 actually got Mario Kart World to it.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting choice for Nintendo to now for the holidays push a game that is also a racing game. Well, they already have a racing game for the new console.
That is very true, but you also have to say, if you look at the GameCube launch, you had F-Zero GX, Mario Kart Double Dash, Kirby Air Riders, and Wave Race. All in the same year.
That might be, but the GameCube era is very different from the 2025 era of gaming with next-gen consoles. And back then, racing games were kind of more popular. If I think about it, on the PC you had Need for Speed, you had Gran Turismo on the PlayStation, you had Mario Kart.
But I mean, you still have Need for Speed and Gran Turismo today, too.
I know, and you also have Forza, etc.
They're all very big franchises.
That's true.
And you also had Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which was a huge hit now too.
Well, these kind of Sonic Racing and SpongeBob Racing, etc. I see all, or Nickelodeon Racing. I see all these games kind of to be Mario Kart clones. But yeah, I'm just saying it's interesting, and I wonder how. Because from that Direct we already saw that there were lots of different features that makes this Kirby Air Riders game be very different from Mario Kart World. You've played Mario Kart World online a lot, and what did you think about the Direct? Did Sakurai kind of get you on board for the new Kirby Air Riders game? What makes it better or different from Mario Kart World?
100%, I think it makes it a lot more focused on the competitive side of racing gameplay. Mario Kart World is more to have fun, like every Mario Kart. And as you see with the updates, they're not 100% relying on the competitive side of online gameplay.
So will there be a story mode, or how will you... Because in the Super Smash Bros. Series, in the last one, especially in Ultimate, you had a story mode where you had a bunch of fights one after another and little challenges. Will there also be a story mode for Kirby Air Riders then?
So there will be this big mode called Road Trip, where you are riding through the world of Kirby Air Riders and doing different mini games. And that was one of the biggest criticisms in my point of view of this Direct 2. He went into detail with almost everything and told us too much about the whole game, but the main thing of this Direct, the road trip mode, he really didn't go into detail too much on it. And around the road trip mode, there's a big story. So in Smash Ultimate, there was a story mode through unlocking the characters, but the story itself was more the shell to what was the core gameplay, was the unlocking the characters and fighting against the characters.
Yeah, the big thing about Ultimate was that now everyone is here. So everyone joins up and you can choose any fighter you want.
Yeah, but the story was that all of the characters were bad and dark, and you had to free them from their...
Yeah, of course. That was the premise why you had to fight them.
But what I'm trying to say is it's a very interesting story, but not that the mode surrounds the story, it's more story surrounds the game mode.
This is something very Nintendo-like, right? I mean, we know from development reports that Nintendo usually first thinks about the game and how the game mechanics work, and afterwards they build the story around to fit what the gameplay and game mechanics give the player. This is not so untypical of Nintendo games in general, right?
No, it is not. The whole he has a very good relationship with high quality, very cinematic videos, and we got to see some of them as like a little teaser in the end. Because the story of Road Trip and the story of the game is that all the vehicles are suddenly looking in one direction. All of the vehicles in the Kirby Air Riders world, and the riders and the vehicles are going to that direction. And then something happens, but you don't know what. And it's this strange thing in the wasteland, and we didn't really understand what it was. There's also this cat thing in the space that opens its eyes in the end. So it's a big cinematic trailer that really shows off, okay, there's something big, story-themed coming still in this game that we won't show you until release.
They will have a story mode, and it will be a vehicle to explore the world, see all the racetracks, unlock all the races, and see all the features of the game. But I'm fully expecting the meat and potatoes of that game to be in the competitive and multiplayer and couch co-op.
And City Trial and everything, yeah.
And City Trial, I don't know, City Trial will have a bunch of challenges like the last time on GameCube, right?
Oh yeah, they have the whole checkpoint system is back, but they have so many quality of life improvements.
Can you explain this checkpoint system?
There is the pictures of different riders that you have to fill, and once you do one quest, you fill up one of those squares with color.
So it's like an achievement system.
It's like an achievement system. But the cool thing is, you can get to see the quests of the blocks around the squares you already unlocked.
Oh, okay, so it's like a grid.
It's like a grid, yeah.
Unlike in Mario Kart World, where you get the stickers for the achievements for your car, for your race,
which is really unrewarding.
Which is kind of, you just get these, but you don't really know how to work for them, because can you even check the challenges? No, you don't know. So it's always a nice surprise when you unlock one. But you say in this game, it's made so that you can check on the grid what is the next challenge, and then you can work towards.
And if you already know the challenge, then you can just press on the grid, and it automatically sets you up with the best vehicle and best rider in the right mode. So that's a huge quality of life thing.
How do you feel about? Are you much of a completionist? If you had unlimited time, and for example, if you were a streamer, Zach, would you play games and 100% them?
Oh yeah, I think so. If I were a streamer, I don't know, then I think that's something different. But just for the saying I'm such a big fan, I did everything that this game has to offer. Mm-hmm. That's definitely something I would do. I'm actually working on the 100% on Donkey Kong Bonanza right now.
Mm-hmm. But how do you feel about like this kind of completionist things in race games?
Well, I think it has to be implemented very well, and what we see here with Kirby Air Riders is there is a big amount of polish in that side of the game. The whole game is polished extremely well, and I think they'll do that quite well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure if we'll get it right away, but
at some point
we'll wait. We'll wait how it turns out. But
yeah,
I'm kind of excited. Like getting something new from Sakura is always a treat.
Yeah, he is such a brilliant mastermind of a developer. Like, he just posted last week, oh yeah, he is taking off some time because his cat is sick. And it's really funny just to see him being so human and so unhuman, because he's such a workaholic too.
I feel he can say whatever he wants because he has a great team of developers and game designers behind him. So and he is very charismatic and good at conveying their hard work and presenting it as his own. So when he says things like, oh, developing this new Super Smash Brothers game has taken a heavy toll on his health. Now he must retreat. It's probably his last game. I never believe him because I'm always like, okay, yeah, we've heard this story like a million times. He's going to make more games.
Because he loves it.
Yeah, but I don't ever believe him. I only believe him when he talks about his games. And you can tell that he's talking, even in this direct, he's talking about details such as, oh, you can use this button and then make this technique. You can really feel that he's a gamer with a passion, because you can tell this is the guy who was behind making Super Smash Brothers into this complex game.
That's something he was really just showing every little detail that this game has to offer.
Yeah.
There's even this lobby where you're waiting to get into your online race called the paddock, and he showed it off for like 7 minutes or something. Just, oh yeah, you can stand on a cake, you can also change the music in the paddock, and just doing every little detail, or showing off that you can change the colors so that even people that have color blindness can see everything. And that is such a huge detail that he went into in this direct. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, that's actually good, because Nintendo, I feel like they still have some work to do for inclusivity in their games. Like, you cannot, like, I don't feel that they have many, like, they don't have text to voice a lot and stuff like that. But it's always a treat to hear Sakurai, because he's just so passionate about, like, it's nice to hear the game developers or game makers talk about their games and feel that they are so passionate about them.
Oh yeah,
and with Sakurai, it's always
that's extreme, yeah.
So
also something else that I love about this whole thing in the direct is just he saw every little criticism that Mario Kart World had, that modern gaming has, and pretty much told the people in the direct, yeah, we are not going to do that, and we are going to deliver something different to you. The whole online part of Mario Kart World, and a lot of different modes, so much to play, and so many different things to do.
And you mean that in Mario Kart World you don't have that many features or many
exactly,
game modes?
He really tackled that. But the other thing too, what he was saying is that there will not be any DLC for this game. There's everything in the game day one. They will of course do like updates to fix bugs, but we're not gonna see any extra updates because he put everything in the game. What you're paying is what you're getting, and what you're getting is what you're paying.
Well, this is kind of rich coming from the creator of the Super Smash Brothers franchise, which was the biggest source of DLCs on the original Nintendo Switch, on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where you could buy all the characters and stuff.
So many DLCs, yeah, and they earned a lot of money through that too. I think that's maybe also a little bit of the reason why he explicitly said that in that direct. There's
I wonder
no DLC.
I wonder if we will get more DLC from Nintendo for Super Mario Kart World, for example.
I don't think you should wonder. I think it's 100%. When is the better question. I don't think we will get it anytime next year, even, maybe. But we can talk about that a lot more in an episode where we are going and doing a deep dive in Mario Kart World. And different game that's coming like a few days later after Kirby Errors. We're getting game after game is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And you played it. If you want to know all about Tav's opinion on that, we put out the big section of our Zac and Tav podcast, episode 1. We went to Game City, is all about Metroid Prime 4. But what are your overall thoughts on Metroid Prime?
Well, we already know some things. For example, that you can ride a bicycle. So for the first time, Samus will have a vehicle. What I'm more thinking about is, does that mean that this game will not just be about exploring caves and space stations and foreign planets and stuff like that, and will it have an open world where you can move more freely, where it makes sense to have, because in the spaces that we have played Samus in Metroid Prime before, in the trilogy, Metroid Prime 1, 2 and 3, you didn't really have great long spaces, open spaces that you had to traverse. In Metroid Prime 3, you could choose the planets where you went to. When you went back to your ship, you could fly from one planet to the other. But still, the individual planets, there were mazes and they were built like labyrinths, like the original Metroid games. So I wonder how they will use this like open space, because they are bound to. I don't think it makes sense to have like with a motorcycle. There's two ways you can go. Either it's about speed and having like chases, races, or reasons to go really fast.
You can also fight while
or fight.
the
Yeah, exactly.
riding.
Or have battles.
And have different like the slide mechanic. You can also ram through different
But
things.
sliding kind of verticality. I'm
They
also
just released
wondering
this Survivors trailer we were talking about a little bit in the last episode last week. They released it like 1.5 weeks ago now. And do you think we're still getting a Metroid Prime 4 Direct? Because maybe at the time you're listening to this Direct is already out.
I'm not sure at all. I mean, they could do that.
Yeah.
But is the question, are they willing to spoil more things about the game? Because up till now, they've given us a taste of everything. And
but
only
not very much.
Yeah,
at
but
all.
not very much.
Like, it's really the opposite of Kirby Air Riders in this case.
Yes,
we
maybe,
really got so little information.
Yeah, maybe they're waiting for that for some reason.
Like in Bonanza, when they just showed off 3 of the Bonanza powers, but there was still 2 more left. I think this is the way they are gonna surprise and delight people when they play the game, just much more than in the with Donkey Kong Bonanza. Something else somebody pointed out somewhere online was that there's a little glimpse in the video where there's somebody with a suit like Samus. And it could be also that it's just Samus in a different suit or something else, or some opponent. But it seems like that there could be maybe a second hunter that you can like switch or that teams up with you, or a rival or whatever.
Okay, you mean maybe there will be some sort of co-op modus?
Yeah, I don't know, but there was just this very small glimpse in the Survivors trailer where people are now speculating online.
I would be very surprised if Metroid Prime 4 had any sort of multiplayer. That would be a real surprise to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have enough to show off in a direct, in a 10-minute, 15-minute direct, for sure. They have enough, but do they want to spoil the things? That's what you ask. That's the better question, I think. Especially now that they posted the Survivors trailer. At the time of recording, this is really just a few days ago. And it makes sense to give you another glimpse and give you more information and get you more hyped, but really not showing off the game properly.
Yeah, I feel like Nintendo has not yet found their stride on how to present or how to use creators, for example, to get hype going for their new games. For example, this Sakura representation is of course very interesting to gamers and to enthusiasts of the game series or what Sakura is doing. But for Metroid Prime 4, I feel like a lot of creators would be ready to like have streams where they show more of the game, but Nintendo's policies about that just don't fit with the current way that people are promoting their games.
Even with review copies.
Yeah, I mean there are developers.
Like Pokemon Legends CA, the IGN had to postpone the review because
the NDA was too strict.
They and the same thing now with Hyrule Warriors. It was too strict.
Yeah. Well, it's. As I said, other publishers, the development companies, they have the developers do a stream with fans or creators who are interested in the game and want to showcase it. Not so much with Nintendo. Nintendo is very old-fashioned in that sense, that they want you to experience the game when you boot it up, when you got it from the store, you bought it, and now you're playing it, and then you're getting amazed. Like, they want to surprise you. And I
think with Kirby Air Riders, they really spoiled a lot of the gameplay, but just playing it yourself is so different from how it feels to any other racing game that I think you will still get that surprise and delight.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, we played it and it feels really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I just wanted to say about Metroid Prime 4 is that we haven't really seen what the psychic powers are that Samus is
Yeah, I
going
mean,
to
it's
have.
opening doors and doing stuff like that, but that's not really what it has to, what it is really.
I'm thinking more along the lines of, will you get some sort of telekinetic powers? And
We
will
also
you be
don't know
able-
what the new suit does either. Maybe it's just enabling the psychic powers.
Yeah, with the third eye. Yeah.
That could be.
I'm thinking more along those lines. Will you be able to use like Jedi-like psi powers where you can move things with your mind?
I think they
And
showed
then-
something like that in the newer Survivor trailer.
Yeah, but
Just
how
a few seconds.
freely can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
use these powers? If these powers could be used more liberally to just shape the world and enable you to move more freely or move the world around, that would be very in line with what Nintendo has been doing with their
But would you
core
want
franchises.
that for Metroid Prime? Because I think that's something I'm not sure if I would actually. Love
Well,
that.
as I said, it would be on point with what they have been doing in the Zelda and also now in the Donkey Kong franchise, where you can be more creative with the solutions. Like Metroid was always a very like strict game when it came to the puzzles. You could solve most puzzles in different ways, but mostly there was one obvious way that you had to follow, and you had to find that way. And I'm wondering if they are going to be a bit more loose with that. Same with the open world. This is a big different step for Nintendo and for Metroid Prime. Because in the Prime series, even though it was 3D, you were always more in confined spaces where you had to move, find the right exit, or find a new way to enter, or to go find the entrance. Yes.
Yeah.
Where the scanner obviously was always a huge element to understand how your environment is shaped.
That's a really interesting level in game design too.
Yes, they do that all the time in the Metroid series. And I wonder if they are going to do how is this game design? How are these kind of levels work alongside an open world where you can move much more freely?
Oh yeah.
Because that always was the thing with Metroid. Like, you could use and go to the planet with your spaceship, but then once you got to the planet, you couldn't fly around with your spaceship and just explore from above and find a better landing spot or something. That was never what Metroid was about. It always said, now ground exploration is recommended.
Yeah, no, that is very true. We are very excited for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond coming on December 4th. Maybe we'll get it on Christmas. So let's see. If you want to hear something about that and how we like it, then please subscribe and tell us in the comments.
Another video game that we were very much looking forward to.
That you were very much looking forward to, I would
Yeah.
say, because you played a lot of the Final Fantasy games, is Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is, I think, coming in January.
Yeah, around my birthday. If you pre-order it, you even get a Magic the Gathering booster pack along the game.
That is really fun, yeah. It only costs 40 euros in our location, which is pretty good for the price.
Yeah, considering that the game is not the most recent one, the Final Fantasy remake
Was
is going
originally
to be...
released for Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Yeah, exactly. But what I mean is more, it's going to be a trilogy, I think. They haven't finished it yet.
Remake, Birth, and something else then.
Yeah, I don't think they have told us or showed us the
Third one. Something
one,
that's very interesting. I was just reading an interview the other day of the creator of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and the third one. He said that Remake runs great on the Switch 2, as everybody sees, and he can only say that Rebirth, even though it's a current gen game and not last gen game, it will run the same, like as well as Remake, if not better, because they started optimizing it for the Switch 2 around the same time. Just they're having more time and resources in Rebirth because it's graphically more intensive and needs more like power.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually more interested in the story of the game, because I feel the Final Fantasy game series is mostly about the story. Like, the game mechanics are very cool and are always kind of addictive RPGs, at least the older ones that I've played. But I wonder, I want to play through the original first, and then I'll try to dip my toes into the remake, because I feel they have changed the story around a bit and give you more detail to the backgrounds of a lot of side characters, and that's how they fleshed out and made a trilogy out of the original game. And from what I've heard, they also have taken the game in a different direction. So it's not the exact same game as the original on the PlayStation. You would think that, but it's actually like an enhanced version of the old story told differently.
Like the first 3 hours of Final Fantasy VII is playing in Midgar, and what they did, they just took those 3 hours and made it to a whole game, a huge game, Final Fantasy Remake that is releasing on Switch 2 and Xbox on the same day in January.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then continue it this way with Rebirth. And yeah, actually I think maybe the third remaster is coming on the same day as on PlayStation, I think. So they're definitely now trying to put it multi-platform, as we're seeing with Xbox too in recent times.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you think it will release for the Switch 2 and the PlayStation 5 simultaneously?
I think so. Yeah, I think these games have a huge budget, and you sell a lot if you port late, but you sell even more if you port on time.
Mm-hmm.
Because people always want to get the games when they're new.
Yeah, you always feel like a second-class citizen, so to speak, if you're on a different platform like the Switch 2, and then you have to wait half a year or a year to get the port of the game.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something Capcom did really well now with Resident Evil. They pulled the support 100% to Nintendo Switch 2, as we were seeing, because Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9, is coming day 1 in February on Switch 2. And they're not only doing that, they're also adding all the collector's editions and all the different arts, doing a lot of advertisement and marketing for the Switch 2 version, also adding Resident Evil Village and Biohazard on the same day, optimized for Switch 2, and they're even cooperating with Nintendo and doing a new Pro Controller, Switch 2 Pro Controller, in a unique design. We already talked about that a little bit in our Spooky Games episode last week, but we think it looks pretty cool, like how the design functions with the black of the Pro Controller too.
Yeah. Would you ever play a Resident Evil game?
I think so. I think there's just the thrill of trying it out. I would definitely do that. But yeah, let's see.
Would you play it on your own?
No. I wouldn't play it on my own. I've never played a Resident Evil, but from now I wouldn't play it on my own. Definitely not, no.
Have you ever seen a horror movie?
Not really horror. Just like, yeah.
Yeah. Resident Evil is like horror movies where, in the horror movies, it's always a common theme is the character goes into the dangerous zone or into the haunted house or whatever. And then oh no, behind that door, something is waiting for you. And in the video game, it's actually you who's going to go behind the door. And something is waiting for you. And you just wait.
Yeah. What do you think is more scary for you, the movie or the game?
Well, the movie, at least it's over. In the game, when I die, I have to face it all over again. But also, in the game, it's always like, okay, I don't have to be afraid because, well, I know what's coming. I already died to this. But it's even more frustrating. In a video game, I'm usually more afraid in video games.
Yeah, no, very understandable. Totally changing the subject now from Resident Evil is Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, coming in spring 2026. That's a game is the sequel of the 3DS game Tomodachi Life, and I'm playing...
It released over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago, and I'm playing Tomodachi Life right now. Just for some context, what is Tomodachi Life? You're pretty much playing these different Miis that live in a house and have different relationships to each other, and it's all randomized, and there's different shops and different things on your island. But you really just engage with the Miis and see what relationships they're building up. You can also customize them. So, like, I have Trump in my island and Smith, as well as my family. And everybody that wants to be on the island can be on the island, and everybody I think should be on the island is on the island. And it's really fun seeing these different relationships that just are very, very funny. Or Angela Merkel, the ex-chancellor of Germany, is having a relationship with Will Smith right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because back in that era, in the 3DS era, on the Wii U, on the Wii, and on the 3DS, you had a Meme Maker app or a Meme Maker, a separate, where you made a Mii that represented you. And now the Meme Maker feature is kind of relegated to make your Mii for your Nintendo account on your Nintendo Switch too. So I wonder how they will integrate the Meme Maker into the Tomodachi Life.
Yeah, it's in the game, and it's even more detailed and even better than ever.
I wonder if they will have some platform where you can easily download Miis or upload your Miis to the internet, because I feel like this was a huge aspect of the old Tomodachi Life game. Like, you could just upload your Mii that you made, that's kind of like a goofy character you just know, or I don't know, you could make a Mii out of Osama bin Laden or Saddam Hussein or Borat, and then you just uploaded that, and then when you downloaded it, you just scanned the barcode with your 3DS camera, and that was it. And I wonder how they will integrate that to have it easily available so that you can fill your island with these weird little characters. Because that's kind of the cool thing about Tomodachi Life. All these characters, they have their own personality. On the 3DS as well,
And now the new game is making everything a lot more complex, because back then they were only in the house or in different specific places where you couldn't really interact that much. And now it's just so much more complex because they're just running around, walking around outside, and you can interact and listen to them.
And now you're on a tropical island or something, right? And there is a city.
So yeah, I'm very excited for Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Let's see if we're picking it up. And yeah, I want a release date because that game looks amazing.
What I loved so much about the original Tomodachi Life was that it was a very pure game in that sense. As a life sim, it was not about gaming and about doing things or accomplishing things in the game. It was more about, you dropped in your citizens, your characters, your goofy figures, and then it was more about watching them and experiencing this world come to life and the weird little interactions. Suddenly, I don't know, Angela Merkel, aka Angie, is becoming best friends with Will Smith, and they hang out and have picnics at the beach. Then he tells her and he has special feelings for her, and you feed them. And most of the time it's really just watching these goofy characters going at it. And I feel like that's such a game-like, childlike experience. Not a lot of games really have that. A lot of games make you accomplish some sort of goal.
Oh yeah.
And then within the game, it's always about you. What are you doing? And in that game,
it's very unique.
You feel very much like an observer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's extremely unique, and it's sold incredibly well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a huge hit.
That makes it even more interesting that Nintendo created this amazing game, and then for 10 years you hear nothing about it. And
I think I think it was very much the platform too, the 3DS, how it just fitted to that, and then they tried to go a little bit more less on the Mii things, and now at the end of the Switch era, they're like, okay, people want Tomodachi Life again. The Switch is actually a good console to do it. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I think that was the feeling, because there was this huge fan community of Tomodachi Life where they were like asking in every single direct, Tomodachi Life now, Tomodachi Life now. They really wanted Tomodachi Life 2, and they got it in the last March Direct. That was a few days before the Switch 2 Direct. And there was 2 very big announcements in that Direct. Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, as the ending of the Direct. And then they also showed off Rhythm Heaven Groove, a Rhythm Heaven title. Have you ever played Rhythm Heaven games? What kind of games are they?
Well, you actually have also played Rhythm Heaven games because I had one for the 3DS, then Rhythm Heaven Paradise, I think. And since we've already talked about Nintendo's kind of lack of inclusivity, this is actually the only Nintendo game series that people with visual impairment, so people who cannot properly see, can enjoy this game series because it's all about rhythm, actually. There are audio cues for everything.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo even once published a fan letter who wrote in and thanked them for continuing the Rhythm Heaven series because he's visually impaired, so he cannot see, or they cannot see, and they play through every Rhythm Heaven game because they're the only game series that they can enjoy fully without having the feeling that they're compromising at all.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So just so you know, these are rhythm games where you have a bunch of levels and they get progressively more difficult. And they're always weird little games where you have to listen and be in tune. And then, according to the rhythm, you have to push one button. You always only push one button. And if you listen properly and have a good feel and grasp on rhythm, then it's no problem.
They had this really, really good and well done trailer in the direct that I just loved. I watched it like for 6-7 times to just for fun because it was so cool.
Yeah, the Rhythm Heaven games have so goofy premises. Like the mini games are always interesting. Sometimes it's animals skipping over a rope, and whenever you jump, then your animal makes some fun noise. Sometimes it's just people playing ping pong. And you only hear the tick tock when they play, and you have to, of course, hit the right button.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's things like, someone throws up something high up in the air, and then it comes back down, and you have to catch it at the appropriate time. They're always so creative in making these games. Another game that was announced for the Nintendo Switch 2 that is bound to be a huge game is one of the most important releases in gaming over the last few years, and that is Elden Ring from Software.
Yeah, From Software is a huge corporation with Nintendo, and they announced that corporation in the Switch 2 Direct just a few days after the Switch 1 Direct, last one, where they're teaming up to put Elden Ring on the Switch 2, and they announced that would be in 2025. And really, history behind that was that they put out a demo at Gamescom that was a horrible place and had extreme frame drops. It didn't look good.
It was not well optimized.
It was
yet.
not playable, as people said, yeah. And that was just a few days ago. Later, they had the same demo, just a different build of it at PAX West. And it was much better and actually quite playable. Still not perfect, but really good, what people said. Like, it could hold the 28 to 30 frames, which is not perfect, but still a lot better than dropping down to 18. And had the same amount of graphical fidelity and a lot more detail too. So you really see the progress that they're making From Software. And they're really working very hard on it, and they delayed it now from 2025 to 2026, still to be announced, the date, but we're very excited, and really, really cool that they're getting us the best version of the game they could on the Switch 2, because I think that's what you should do if you're somebody who ports games. You shouldn't rush it, you should really try to make a really good version.
Yeah, I'm really wondering for these Switch 2 versions how they will shape up, because I feel like the gold standard up to now has been Cyberpunk 2077, because
and Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red has demonstrated how to do it the best, because that was a game that people were not thinking about at all when they thought about Nintendo's new console, and they managed to make it work very well. And in the process of that, setting the standards for what a Switch 2 port should look like from a third-party developer. And CD Projekt Red really did a great job in that.
I think it's also a lot about the dev kits, because there's a huge problem with dev kits in Nintendo right now for Switch 2. And I don't think that's because they can't produce the amount of dev kits they need. It's because it's creating a artificial scarcity to reduce shovelware on Nintendo Switch 2 games, and not only that, getting a steady flow of third-party ports that is not, all of them are at the beginning and then later there's none, or none of them is at the beginning and then later.
They want to
less.
have them trickle in at a steady rate and only have quality ports.
Exactly,
That's
yeah.
understandable.
Like-
I've heard that the Elden Ring, so the FromSoft team got the Switch 2 dev kits later than for example the Square Enix devs.
Square Enix was the first ones that had a cooperation, because there was also these leaks that in 2023 in the Gamescom they showed off Zelda Breath of the Wild in 4K, Final Fantasy VII Remake in 4K 60 on the Switch 2. Of course, that was 100% extremely optimized. They didn't meet those standards for Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it was definitely something that was leaked and was confirmed later, as we see now. And I think they really gave CD Projekt Red the dev kits very early in the game.
Because they knew that Cyberpunk 2077 would be such a huge game for them to
Yeah.
have as a launch title.
Also Square Enix, but I think instantly when From Software had this big deal with Nintendo about Elden Ring and the Duskbloods, which we're going to talk about later still, they gave them dev kits, because if you're doing a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive that is a big AAA FromSoft game, you will definitely want to have it as polished and as well done as possible.
What do you think about the Duskbloods?
It's a game we haven't heard a lot from yet. Switch 2 exclusive, as I already said, which is a big deal for Nintendo, because they'll get a lot of PlayStation and Xbox players to Nintendo's system because of the Duskbloods, for sure. And it's a 8-player multiplayer with different modes. They showed us all these different cinematic sequences in the Switch 2 Direct, which should get us hyped. It was really long, in my opinion, but it didn't really show what the game would be and explain anything. So I'm still waiting to find out more on the Duskbloods.
You have never played a FromSoft game, correct?
Myself, I have not, no, but I would love to.
Yeah, well, aren't all FromSoft games kind of the same genre and Souls-like games?
Well, they're similar, but we are seeing quite a lot of variety now in FromSoft games. Like Elden Ring Night Rain is the DLC to Elden Ring. That is a Battle Royale mode, pretty much. And the Duskbloods is a 8-player PvE or PvP game. I think it's PvPvE or something. So you have, it's a very complex name, but you have different AI opponents, and then you can also fight against other people in your fight. Really don't know a lot about it. I just read the creator's voice at some point a few months ago when it released, and it's a really interesting concept.
Is it online only then?
I think it is online, but probably they will also do a single player. But maybe not. Maybe not. That is true. Maybe, yeah. Let's see.
I'm not such a huge fan personally of online only games on console, especially for the Switch and Switch 2. Since the Switch is a portable console,
Yeah.
I cannot have internet everywhere. And the whole point of having a mobile console or a handheld like that is that I can play when I'm in a tunnel or I'm on a commute where I may not have a stable internet connection.
That is true, yeah. No, I definitely understand that, but the Duskbloods is definitely a huge deal, and what we've seen so far looks really cool.
Do you know if Elden Ring will release alongside all its DLCs for the Switch 2?
Yeah, it's called the Tarnished Edition, and it includes the base game, the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, which was even nominated for Game of the Year in the Game Awards, and also they have some cosmetics, what I've heard, included, that are exclusive to the Tarnished Edition, and the Tarnished Edition is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So you really get quite a lot out of your Elden Ring experience. But release date is to be announced, and price too.
Yeah, I wonder how it will run. on
There's
Switch
some
2.
other games that got ported, or will get ported, to Switch 2. including Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, an Xbox game, which is quite interesting, really cool what I've heard, and would be nice. It's really nice to get a bigger audience on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, but we haven't really seen footage of that yet. We've just seen that it was confirmed.
It was announced, yeah.
Yeah. The same thing with Fallout 4. They also announced that the Anniversary Edition come for Switch 2 next year, but we also didn't really see any gameplay. And Nate the Hate, the extremely prominent leaker, says Starfield is also coming from Xbox Studios next year. Very excited for that. Our last game today is something Nintendo randomly dropped on Nintendo Today, as many other things. Splatoon Raiders, which is a single-player spin-off from the Splatoon series. Have you ever played Splatoon?
No, I haven't, but it always seemed to me, I know that in the first two Splatoon games were more or less focused on the multiplayer aspect, and that it was a very innovative take, a kind of very Nintendo way of
With all three Splatoon games, actually.
Yes, of course, but I think in Splatoon 2 they implemented, they made a DLC that also had single player
Exactly,
missions.
yeah, they always do the DLC after the game that adds the single player campaign then, pretty much.
Yeah, which I don't like, since I prefer playing single player campaigns.
But if
and
we would
shooters.
get it, we would get all the single player stuff through Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pass.
Ah, okay, that's interesting.
So that's cool that that's included.
Yeah, I never got into Splatoon myself, since I'm not so much.
It also originated in the Wii U, so that's
yes,
something.
it's an original Wii U, or it originally. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But at the same time, I'm not so much of a console shooter gamer. The last game I played was on the Xbox 360. It was, I think, Halo 3 or something, or Halo 4.
But you
I'm not sure.
love Metroid Prime, which is
not a shooter.
Which is not a shooter, yeah.
No,
But
but Splatoon definitely is, and I'm kind of wondering what Nintendo will do, because they've never really done an adventure shooter where like the shooting element or is in the game, and I wonder how they will do that, because I'm sure
that will be really interesting.
because I don't think they will just make a kind of like adventure game in the same way that Metroid Prime is done, and just do that with Splatoon characters.
No, I'm also really interested how they'll do that.
I also wonder if they will do a co-op story game where you play. It's like a campaign, but you play through it, and it has a multiplayer option with like split screen on this. Like I've played a good amount of co-op shooter games, and I really loved it. I actually played Halo with my best friend back in the day, and games like Army of Two, which were designed with multiplayer in mind while being shooters. And I wonder if Nintendo will try something in that vein with Splatoon Raiders, because
really
it seems like you're stranded on a remote island or something.
Yeah, something
or you
like
crash.
that. I don't know. But it's quite interesting because we really got so little information, just this one Nintendo Today drop, and you would think, oh yeah, probably in the September Direct. It didn't even get mentioned. It's confirmed for... It's not confirmed even. It's not even 2026.
They only teased it, really. I think they are still not sure when it will be ready for release yet.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think we'll see it in February with the Direct.
But I can imagine lots of different directions Nintendo takes with this game. So I'm very curious. Like, I could even imagine them doing something like a first-person survival game.
Yeah, no, there's so many possibilities. I'm really interested, and if they're doing it something that we like, maybe this might be our entry into the Splatoon series.
Yeah, for sure. I'm open for everything.
Yeah, me too. Well, that was our upcoming Switch 2 games, a long episode, and I hope you had fun with it. If you would like to listen to future Zac and Tav podcasts, subscribe or leave us 5 stars on Spotify, wherever you're listening. And yeah.
As always, thanks for tuning in.
And bye.
Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.